Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf, Maseches TEMURAH Daf Chaf Aleph. We begin at the Mishnah, which is 5 lines off the top of the Amid. So today's sugya will focus on Bechor and Maser Behema. Bechor being the firstborn kosher animal, which is meant to be given to a kohen. And if it's unblemished, he puts it on the Mizbeach, he's makriv it as a korban. If it's blemished, then he eats it in private. Maser Behema is the 10th animal out of the pen. So the farmer takes his new batch, counts them 1 to 10, number 10 being the Maser Behema, which is his own personal korban, and if it has no mum, he's makriv it on the Mizbeach. If it has a mum, he eats it in private. Now, unlike many other korbanos that we have learned about, where the vlad, the offspring, as well as the TEMURAH, the substitute, they attain similar or even identical status as the original korban. Here it's very different. We learn from Psukim that the TEMURAH or the vlad of a Bechor and Maser do not have same status as the original. There's only one, an original firstborn. There's only one, an original 10th animal. But their derivatives, the TEMURAH, the vlad, although they do have an element of kedusha saguf, inherent kedusha, you have to treat them accordingly, but they do not have hakrava ability. They don't go on the mizbeach. Rather, you have to wait until they get a mum and eat them in private. But, as we said, they still have some element of kedusha to them, to the extent that you have to treat them honorably. You can't just sell them in the marketplace, etc., etc. Says the Mishnah, TEMURAH sabchor ba'maser. The TEMURAH of a Bechor or of a Maser, Vladon, their children, grandchildren, until the end of the road. Hareilu kebechor kemaser. They're treated like the Bechor or Maser. They have the kedusha, but the owner has to wait for them to get a mum and eat them. So the kohen has to wait for his Bechor to get a mum and the Yisrael on his Maser Behema. Now, what is the difference between these and other karbonos that obtained a mum? Ma bein Bechor u'Maser lebein kol hakotshim. Difference like this: shekol hakotshim. Whereas by other karbonos, once they have a mum, you could just sell them as you would your regular animal. Nimkarim be'itlis. You sell them out in the marketplace. Nishchatim be'itlis, and you shech them there. V'nishkalim be'litra, and you weigh them on a regular, scale system. This way, you get the most, the top dollar return for the meat, which encourages the redeemer to initially offer a greater bid, knowing that he'll get a great return for it. Because in this case, who benefits from the higher offering, the higher bidding? The Hegdish belongs to Hegdish money. Chutz min ha-Bechor va-Maser, except for Bechor Maser, which is owned by the owner, in which case we don't allow you to dishonor the meat and sell out in the marketplace as you would ordinary meat. Because ultimately, who's going to gain from a higher bidding? The owner. He's the only one who gains. It's not going to go to Hegdish. It goes to the Kohen, to the Yisrael. He's the one that gets this added value. So therefore, it doesn't justify dishonoring the material. So again, when it comes to a regular korban, which belongs to the Beis HaMikdash, belongs to Hegdish, so we allow you to sell it out in the market, which will fetch top dollar due to the higher demand, etc., which initially would garner a higher bid in terms of the person redeeming it to begin with, because he's expecting a greater return, as opposed to Bechor Maser, which is owned by the owners, Yisrael, the Kohen. So there's no reason to allow them to treat it like ordinary meat and dishonor it in order to obtain a greater return. What are the differences that we have between Bechor and Maser and other karbonos? V'yesh lahem pidyon. Whereas by other karbonos we have the concept of pidyon. If a korban got a mum, you redeem it. Ula t'murah saying pidyon, and they're t'murah as well. Chutz min ha-b'chor v'ha-maser. These do not have redemption options. So, even though it has a mum, you can't redeem it. You shecht it privately, etc., but there's no redemption process to it. We learn this from Sukkah. So it is what it is. One more difference is uboin mechutz ha'aretz. By all other karbanos, you can import the animal from outside Eretz Yisrael, chutz min ha-b'chor v'ha-maser, except for these two, which ideally should not come from outside Eretz Yisrael. If they did, fine. Imbo, if they arrive tamim unblemished, you carve it, you put them on the mizbeach. Bali mumin, if they're blemished, yachal mumin l'baylam, the owner eats it in its mum status. But again, ideally, you shouldn't bring it from outside Yisrael, and there are first that bring the source for this. And Reb Shimon, as he typically does, provides a reason for the halach. Reb Shimon, ma tam. Why is it that, in contrast to other karbanos, where you can import them from outside of Israel, b'chor v'ha-maser is different. Why? Ma tam. B'chor v'ha-maser ishlen parnasim mimkaiman. Because, in contrast to b'chor v'ha-maser, you can accommodate them in their local location. Just wait until they get a mum and shecht them there. No reason to bring them to Eretz Yisrael. U'sharkal al-kachim, as opposed to other karbanos, there really is no recourse other than bringing them to Beis HaMikdash, because even if they get a mum, you have to redeem them and then bring up the money to, and channel them to a new carbon. Even if they had a mum, and they retain their kedusha, and they have to be converted into new carbon. So ultimately, you can end up bringing it to Eretz Yisrael. So may as well just use these. Amar Rava, Barav Asa. I have a question, a very interesting question that they asked in Eretz Yisrael. We all know that it's prohibited to inflict a blemish on a carbon which is meant for hakrava. Now picture this: you have an animal which is kadosh, kedushas haguf, but not really eligible for hakrava. So it's sort of an in-between status. Question: is there an isser for inflicting a blem on it? Perhaps you can say, yeah, you're blemishing an animal which has kedushas haguf. On the other hand, you can say, perhaps the only issue is that by inflicting a mum, you're preventing it from hakrava, which in this case is not applicable. So perhaps not an issue. That's the question they had. Bon b'mamrav in Eretz Yisrael. Hamatal mum b'temuras b'chor v'ha-maser ma'u. So we have two examples of this type of situation. You have a temurah of b'chor v'ha-maser, which we all know is not going to be used as a direct carbon. Another example would be, we'll see that in a minute, regarding the ninth, the one that came out number 9 in the Maser Behem account. And he actually mislabeled it as number 10. And we learn later from the Pesukim that it has Kedushas Haguf, although it's not eligible for Hakrava. So we have two such scenarios, animals which have Kedushas Haguf but not eligible for Hakrava. And the question is, what about inflicting a mum on these animals? Hamatal mum b'temuras b'chor v'ha-maser ma'u. We say, given like Kraven, since in any case not going on the Mizbeach, Mechayiv is not liable. I do what you can say, given the kosher, since that is Kedushas Haguf, Mechayiv is liable for inflicting a mum. Why are you limiting your question to b'chor v'ha-maser? Same question you could have posed to the ninth of the Maser, which has similar status. Elamai, Shno, Tishid Elokim Boilach. So why, in fact, did you not pose your question regarding the ninth of Maser? Because excludes it from hakrava, in which case it's not an issue to have a mum placed on it. Asiri, only number 10 is eligible for hakrava, let's see, as opposed to number 9, so it's not an issue. Hachanami, well, exact same rationale applies here as well, but the temurah b'chor v'ha-maser, which is not reif hakrava, Rachmana Matuna Torah excludes them from hakrava, loiti pada, kodesh heim. So only the b'chor, the actual original one, and the actual original master is eligible for hakrava. Haim Kraven, Vein Temuras and Kreva. Only the original, not the Temurah. So there's no issue of mum. So his answer is a no. Now comes another version going the other direction. Nachum bar Yitzchak Masnach, he had a different version of this question. They asked the question there. It's a shal ban marava. Hamatal mum b'chishal maser ma'u. What about inflicting a mum on the ninth of maser, which is kaddish but not a carbon? Amalei. Abaye, so again Abaye responds, why are you focusing on this one? You should have asked the same question on T'murah l'b'char v'maser. So why didn't you? So why didn't you question that case? Because you knew the answer. Torah excludes them from akrava. Kodesh heim, only the original is kodesh and eligible for akrava. Hein craven, only they are karev. Vein t'murasim, but the t'mur is not kreva. So there's no issue of a mum. Well, the same exact. Svara applies to the 9th of the Maser. Chusha Maser Nami, Rachmanamayte, Torah exclusive from akrava. Ha-asiri, only the 10th is eligible. Lo yisitachi, as opposed to the 9th. So there's no issue with placing a mum on this animal. Okay, back to the Mishnah. The Bechor and or Maser born outside Eretz Yisrael ideally should not be imported to Eretz Yisrael, but if it came, it's processed. For Raminu, now comes a kasha. So you're saying, but it works. For Raminu, we have a kasha from a Mishnah Maseches Chala, where it says that imported animals are totally ineligible. Even with the evidence, it doesn't work. Ben Antignais, this person, he attempted to bring a Bechor from Bavli to Yerushalayim. They didn't accept it as a carbon. They invalidated it, even with the evidence. And now Mishnah, we allow it? How does that work? Here's the answer. There are two opinions in this matter. Rabbi Shmuel says ideally you shouldn't, but b'diavad it works. Rabbi Kiva says totally not acceptable, based on a pasuk we're going to see in the brayso. The Sani, we have a brayso. Reisi Aimer Gimel Dvarim Mishum Gimel Skein. Reisi quoted 3 halachis from 3 separate chachamim, 3 separate elders. It's going to be Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Kiva, and Ben Azai. And Rabbi Kiva is the one who's going to say that a bechor from outside Eretz Yisrael is unacceptable, based on a hekesh between Bechor and Maser Sheni. So we're going to have a pasuk, which is going to be the intro to the whole brayso. We have a pasuk like this: V'chalta l'fnei Hashem l'kecha. You should consume before Hashem, meaning in Yerushalayim, before the Beis Hamikdash, before the Shechina. V'makom hashivcha l'shakan shmei Sham. Maser l'gancha, so the master of your grain. To Rosh Chavitzarecha v'choyres b'korcha v'tzarcha. So the pasuk is comparing, is connecting, making a hekesh, a joint reference to Maser Dagan, grain Maser Sheni, and your Bechor animal. So we have this hekesh, and we're going to have 3 perspective, 3 separate tracks. Rabbi Shmuel's approach to the pasuk, Rabbi Kiva's understanding of the hekesh, and Ben Azai as well. Rabbi Kiva being the one who says, well, just like Maser Sheni is only locally, it only applies to locally grown produce in Eretz Yisrael. Likewise, Bechor. And it's unacceptable if it's from outside Eretz Yisrael. So based on this hekesh, he's going to invalidate Bechor from outside Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Shmuel learns the hekesh for a different matter, in which case he doesn't have a pasuk to invalidate imported Bechor. Hence, b'diavad they accept it. So that's in a nutshell what's coming up. Sanya, Reisi Aimer Gimel Devarim Mishum Gimel Skenim. 3 halachas. Number 1, Rabbi Shmuel Aimer. What about nowadays? We have the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael, Kedusha of Yerushalayim intact, but there's no Beis Hamikdash. The pasuk says the Maser Sheni should be eaten Fnei Hashem l'kecha in Yerushalayim before the Shechina. Is that applied today or not? Perhaps you can suggest that a person should be able to bring up his Maser Sheni to Yerushalayim, even nowadays, after the destruction of Beis Hamikdash, consumed in Yerushalayim. And the answer is no. V'dinu, we compare it to Bechor. Bechor is a carbon, which needs the actual Beis Hamikdash to be processed. V'dinu, Bechor torah avos makom, just like the Bechor needs to be brought to the makom, Yerushalayim, Beis Hamikdash, U'maser as well, torah avos makom needs to be up in Yerushalayim. We compare the two. Ma Bechor, Ein nechal of nearby, just like the Bechor, you can only eat when they Beis Hamikdash, because you have to process the carbon in the Beis Hamikdash. So it's only valid when we have Beis Hamikdash. Af Maser Ein nechal, Elo b'fnei abayis, likewise Maser Sheni is only consumed when we have a Beis Hamikdash. Lie! Who says it's a fair comparison? Im Amris Bechor, perhaps only Bechor has that stipulation. Shekain Toin Matan Domim. Mizbeach, because it has to be processed. Blood, it's fat on the Mizbeach. Of course it needs a Mizbeach on a Beis Hamikdash. As opposed to Maser Sheni, which does not have that process requirement. Well, okay, that comparison didn't work. Amris, so we'll proceed and compare it to Bikurim. Bikurim to Unin Havas Mokim, just like Bikurim needs to be brought to the Beis Hamikdash. Maser Ton Havas Mokim, likewise Maser Sheni. Ma Bikurim ain't Nechol Elfnei Abayis, just like Bikurim need the Beis Hamikdash itself. Why is that? Because the pasuk speaks about placing the Bikurim. Rashi says Lefnei V'Nachtel Lefnei Hashem Elokecha needs the Beis Hamikdash, needs the Mizbeach. Av Maser Ein Nechal Lefnei Abayis, likewise Maser needs the Beis Hamikdash. Says the Gemara, Mala Bikurim came to an Halacha. Well, of course, Bikurim needs the Beis Hamikdash because you have to place it alongside the Mizbeach. No Mizbeach, no Bikurim. Toimer b'Maser as opposed to Maser, which does not have that process. Deloy. So back to the question: can you bring up your Maser Sheni nowadays and eat it in Yerushalayim? Tamaloymar. Here comes that hekesh, that connection in that pasuk, which makes a joint reference to Maser Sheni and Bechor. Tamaloymar v'chal Hashem Elokecha Maser degancha. That's your Maser Sheni from your grain. V'yisroshcha b'tzarecha u'v'chayreis v'korcha b'tzarecha. Hikish Maser Bechor. Torah now is connecting and linking the Maser Sheni to Bechor, and we learn as follows: Ma Bechor ein nechal elfnei abayis, just like Bechor needs to have a Beis Hamikdash. Af Maser ein nechal elfnei abayis, likewise Maser Sheni. Says the Gemara, why do we require this hekesh? Well, let's go back to the original link. So we were linking Maser Sheni to Bechor, and we sort of negated that link by saying, well, Bechor, of course, it's a carbon, needs the Mizbeach, you can't compare. Fine, but at that point, we could have just said, okay, but we have another source. Let's go over to Bikurim, which is not really a carbon, and still it needs the Beis Hamikdash. So you see that the Beis Hamikdash requirement is not contingent upon his carbon status. And were you to respond by saying, well, Bikurim, of course, needs Hanacha, but a Mizbeach, well, Bechor doesn't and still needs a Beis. So we sort of will bounce back and forth and come up with a common denominator. We have items which needs a Beis Hamikdash, likewise Maser Sheni. Well, we'll derive it by making this sort of commonality and applying it to Maser Sheni as well. Amar Rav Ashi mishum d'ikla meimar. The reason why it's not a fair comparison is because ultimately you can refute this attempted connection. You're trying to derive Maser Sheni from a joint factor, joint source of Bechor and Bikurim. You know what's common to both Bechor and Bikurim? There's an element of Mizbeach applicable to both. Although not exactly on the same plane, but there's an element of Mizbeach to both. Bechor has to be processed on the Mizbeach, Bikurim placed next to the Mizbeach, as opposed to Maser Sheni, which has no element of Mizbeach at all, so it's not really a fair comparison. Hence, we needed that hekesh. And we don't challenge a hekesh. Ein mashivin ala hekesh. So by the Torah making this sort of joint reference to Maser Sheni together with the pasuk of Bechor, we learn one from the other, and Bechor, which needs a Beis Hamikdash, likewise, Maser Sheni does. Now, let's backtrack. Why is it so obvious to us that Bechor needs a Beis Hamikdash? Let's say, you're right, practically you need a Beis Hamikdash to bring the Bechor, but if the Kedusha of Beis Hamikdash is still valid, still active today, technically you could bring a Bechor even today. Just locate the place of Mizbeach and bring it right there. But Michael Savar, what's Rish Shmuel's opinion on the general question of Kedusha, or the presence of Kedusha? Ikosar, if he holds Kedusha Rishonah, the initial Kedusha, is still around, is still present, is fully active. Kitchel Lashata was Kaddish for its time, and for all time. The Kitchel Asad Lavai. So then, Loishna Bechor, Loishna Maser, B'nei Aninu. Whether it's a Bechor, whether it's Maser Sheni, bring it up there today. It's considered Fnei Hashem Elokecha. The Shechina is still present as it was before. It's as though we have a Beis Hamikdash. Because Savar Kedusha Rishonah Kitchel Lashata V'loi. Kitchel Asad Lavai. He holds that the original Kedusha was only for that time, but is not really active today. was speaking about the Kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash. Afilu b'char nami tiboilach. So the same question could be posed regarding a b'char. Rashi explains a little bit of a unique case. So how could this question be applicable to b'char? Suppose they processed the b'char when there was a Beis Hamikdash. They did the zrika and everything, right? And then suddenly Beis Hamikdash is destroyed, and we have the basar still. Can we consume it or not? Is it considered l'fnei Hashem l'kecha or not? So the same question posed on Maser Sheni can be posed on b'char as well. Why are we focusing on Maser Sheni? Certainly, Kasavar he holds certainly he holds that the Kedusha of Beis Hamikdash is not really present as it was before. Skinner was speaking, of course, that there's no practical issue of bringing a b'char today. You already did it. You already did this rika when there was a Beis Hamikdash around. B'char abayis, and suddenly Beis Hamikdash is destroyed. Shibana Beis Hamikdash may remain. But I'm sorry, Kayim. Now the flesh of that basar is around. So we were sort of questioning. Well, why isn't this an interesting shaila? I mean, you have the basar. Is it considered edible? Is it considered l'fnei Hashem l'kecha? Is it? The answer is, it's obvious to us that this whole question does not apply regarding the basar of the b'char. Not because we resolve this, a definition question whether or not it's called l'fnei Hashem l'kecha. We're not sure. In fact, that's the question we have by Maser Sheni. But by b'char, it's obvious that it's not going to be helpful. There's no option of consuming the basar b'char. You know why? For a different reason. Since, technically speaking, if the dam would still be unsprinkled, still around, you couldn't do anything with it today, because there's no mizbeach, there's no, right? Like I said before, because we're going with the shita lo. We don't have the option of bringing a carbon today. Loy bazrikahu, asi basar yolaf midam. There's a pasuk which connects basar and the dam. It says sisa lesecha. It says as damam tizrek veschavam takrab sar milacha. So the pasuk joins together the dam of the b'char, the basar of the b'char. So we connect them. The basar shares the same fate as the dam. So since there's no recourse to the dam today, there's no opportunity to process dam today. Likewise, the basar gets disqualified. It shares the same fate as the dam. So that was an established fact. That was simple to us. So again, we're going with the opinion that the Kedushas Ha'aretz is still around. Likewise, Kedushas Yerushalayim. The question is, the Torah describes the process of eating Maser Sheni as l'fnei Hashem l'kecha. Is Yerushalayim enough for that? We need the actual Kedushas Hamikdash as well. Rish Shmuel holds, we don't have, the absolute Kedushas Hamikdash like days gone by. So technically, you can't bring a carbon today. Now, we're talking about a b'char, which doesn't have a need for akrava. The dam has already been processed on this bech, and suddenly there's no Beis Hamikdash. All we have is the basar. It's clear to us that the basar is now disqualified because it shares the same fate as the dam. It's not a time that you can process dam, it's not a time that you can process or consume basar. The question only applies to Maser Sheni. Can we eat Maser Sheni today or not? Is Yerushalayim enough, or do we need Fnei Hashem l'kecha, the Mikdash, in its full glory? That's why we resort to this hekesh, the pasuk which makes a joint reference to b'char and Maser Sheni. We turn to Beis. V'asi Maser yolaf b'char, and that's why Maser has to go derive his status from b'char through that hekesh, just as this b'char that we just described cannot be consumed today. Why? Because the basar shares the same fate as the dam, which cannot be processed today. Likewise, Maser Sheni. Ask the Gemara. But now you're doing a double linked sourcing. Starting point is dam of that b'char, which cannot be processed today. by extension the basar as well, and by extension the maser sheni. That's a double-linked source. Umi alfinan, kachim adadi. Do we learn halachas regarding karbanis and kedusha, one from the other in this manner? Rabbi Yechon teaches us regarding all other halachas and matters in the Torah you can learn a lamed from a lamed. So C can learn from B, which learn from A. Chutz min hakachim, except in matters of kachim. She'ein lamed in lamed min lamed, you can't do a two-step sourcing. So how could he learn maser sheni from basar, which in itself learned from dam? Maser chulinu. The maser sheni has the status of chulin. There's no issue. So you can learn through this double. That's if you focus on the recipient of the halacha. In this case, maser sheni. But if you look at the source of the halacha, the one teaching the halacha, the source, which is dam, Michael Amiris, that's kachim. And he has no ability to transfer his halachas 2 steps away. The answer is there are no 2 steps here. Basar and dam is one and the same entity, it's the same animal, it's the same guf. So therefore, it's not considered as though one learned from the other. The basar shares the same fate as the dam, it's one entity, and now he can export his halacha 1 step away to the maser sheni. Okay, so this was Rabbi Shmuel's approach to the hekesh, concluding that maser sheni cannot be consumed nowadays. In fact, that's what we do in Eretz Yisrael. They have maser sheni, which is then redeemed on a coin. They throw it away. You don't eat it in Yerushalayim because it's not l'fnei Hashem l'kecha. Okay, now, as you notice, Rabbi Shmuel has no source to disqualify imported animals from Chutz La'aretz. Rabbi Akiva will do that. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Yochel Yala Adam B'char B'chutz La'aretz B'zman Shebeis HaMikdash Kaim Yakrivenu. So we have a Beis HaMikdash. It's time to bring the B'chayres. Can you import from outside Eretz Yisrael? Tam Loima B'chalta, the same pasuk, the same hekesh. No. B'chalta Shem Hashem Kecha. Maser Degancha. V'zeraj Chavitzarecha. So we have a reference to Maser Sheni. B'chayres, then a reference to B'char. B'kar Chavitzancha. It has to be sourced from the same place. Mimalkaim, from the locale Shata Mala Maser Dogan, where you bring your Maser Dogan, which is only Eretz Yisrael, which is Chayiv and Maser. That's where you bring a bachar as well. From a location which is not suitable to bring maser sheni from, such as outside Eretz Yisrael, yatamala bachar, likewise a bachar. Okay, so that's the shita that we're looking for, which corresponds with Ben Antignois, whose bacharas were rejected. Ben Azayim, yet a third approach to the sekish. Yochel, yala adam es maser sheni v'yachlan b'chalal roya. We know that maser sheni has to be brought up to Yerushalayim. Does it have to be within the confines of the city? Or can you just bring it close by, as long as you with an eye contact of Yerushalayim, of Yerushalayim? Is that enough? So as long as you see the city, vision, sight makes for a connection, perhaps that's enough. And actually we find that in other times in history, like in the time of Mishkan Shiloi, as long as you could see the Mishkan, even from afar, it qualifies. So maybe Yerushalayim as well? V'dinu, the answer is no, because we compare it to Bachar, which needs to be consumed only in Yerushalayim. V'dinu, Bachar ton avas mokim. The Bachar needs to be brought up to Yerushalayim. U'ma'aser as well, ton requires avas mokim. Ma Bachar, just like Bachar, ein nechel elfnim and achayma. Just like Bachar is only consumed in the walls, like any other kachim column, it needs to be in the walls. Otherwise, it's pasal b'yaitze, right? That's a known fact. Likewise, af maser ein nechal elfnim and achayma, you can only eat it inside the walls. Hold it, how could you compare it to Bachar? Mala Bachar, of course, it's more strict. Shekin toin matan domim, we burn gam mizbeach, it's offered on the mizbeach, it's a different system. So of course it has that strictness. Toim of masa as opposed to maser's loy, which doesn't have that process. So maybe even outside is okay. Tam loymar, hence the hekish. Mechaltav neshem mekecha, masa degancha, v'zor shchavitzarecha, v'kar chavitzancha. The pasuk is connecting makash maser Bachar. Ma Bachar, just like Bachar and Nechel Fnim and Achema, must be consumed inside the walls of Yerushalayim. Likewise, Maser. Now, why would he even think to suggest? My kashili, what was bothering him? Why was he even suggesting to come up when he said, Yachel? That perhaps, even within, eyesight, within field of vision is sufficient. Why would I say that? Amris, the answer is like this. Hoil utnan, since we find a similar phenomena elsewhere. Very, very little differences between Shiloi, where the Mishkan was, and Yerushalayim when it was built. Very little differences, except that in Shiloi they would eat the karbanis from a distance. Yerushalayim has to be within the walls. That's regarding Kacham Kala, Maser Sheni, Kacham Kadashim, Lefnim and Akloim. When it comes to the higher level of Kedusha, like Echatos and Asham, in all cases, it has to be consumed within the partitions, within the Beis HaMikdash. So, Maldatema, perhaps you can suggest that just like by Shiloi, the Maser Sheni can be consumed from a distance, as long as you're within, vision. Maldatema Yerushalayim as well, Laisi Maser Sheni, M'chaler, bring it within field of vision. Kamashmon, the answer is no, it has to be within the city. Acherim Aimrim. Here comes yet another application to this hekesh between Maser Sheni and Bechor. Regarding the time frame. We learn from the Psukim that a Bechor ideally should be processed within a year of its birth. What if the year has passed? Is it disqualified? Acherim Aimrim, of course Acherim refers to Reb Meir, as we have at the end of Maseches Heres, they call them Acherim because of the incident there. What about a Bechor that's past the year? Kipsula Mikdashim has the same status as a blemished carbon. The apostle is disqualified from Akrova Tamleimar. Here comes the pasuk with the hekesh. Once again, Masa de Gancha, V'Yisrashcha, V'Yitzarecha. And then it says the Bechor is Bechorcha, right? Makash Bechor L'Maser, we have a connection with Bechor and Maser. Ma Maser Eina Nifsal Mishal Chaver, just like Maser Sheni. Doesn't become disqualified just because the year is over. The pasuk speaks about, at the third year of the Shemitah, sixth year you do the Biur, it's not disqualified, you can still tend to it later. The same thing with the Bechor. Bechor and Nifsal Mishal Chaver, even though the year is over, it doesn't become possible. Now, what about the other opinions? Rabbi Shmuel or Rabbi Kiva ben Azai, who learned or applied the hekesh for other matters. So how do they know this halacha? Rabban, the other chacham, the mafkulu, the time achrin that applied the hekesh for other halachas. How do they know this halacha that doesn't get expired after the year? Mishal chaverta min alu nafkulu. We have a different pasuk referring to the bechor that it's going to be eaten shana b'shana. We'll have a drasha that even if it's past the first year, you can eat it in the second year. Shana b'shana. Limit, we learn from here. Pasuk is teaching al bechor she'en nifsal mishal chaverta doesn't become possible once the year is up. Ula acherim. Now acherim who already learned this halach from the hekesh. What do they do with this new pasuk? What do they apply this pasuk for? By the way, it's needed for a different halach regarding the consumption time frame of the carbon of the bechor. The Sanis learned in the Brisa that a bechor is consumed within a time frame of 2 days. 2 days and the night in between. How do we know this? From this pasuk, shana b'shana, because at times the time frame extends for 2 years, into 2 years. Last year, past year, and the first day of the next year. So you technically eat it within 2 years. So we learned that it's a 2-day time zone. So 1 day of this year, the last day. And the first day of the next year. That's shana b'shana, right? Limaid, it teaches us that a bechor is consumed within 2 days and a night. Right? So that's how we learn from this pasuk, shana b'shana. How do they know this? How do they know this? Halacha makra from a different pasuk. The pasuk is comparing the bechor to chazayat nufa, to the part that's removed from the shlomim, which is given to a kain, which of course has a 2-day time frame. In which case, the same applies to a bechor. Okay, for a brief recap, we discussed the status of the derivatives of the bechor of the maser, the TEMURAH, the vlados. They have some element of kedusha, but do not have the ability of akrova. You have to treat them respectfully. You don't shech them and sell them out in the market. Another difference between Bechor Maser and other Karbanis is that other Karbanis have the Pidyon option if they're blemished. Bechor Maser do not have Pidyon option. Another difference is other Karbanis are imported from anywhere. Bechor Maser, according to Rabbi Kiva, is totally invalid from outside Israel. According to Bishmol, ideally it should be locally grown. We got an interesting shaila regarding whether a person could inflict a mum on a carbon which is not roif akrava. We have two variations. One is the chi of the maser, and one is the TEMURAH b'char v'maser. Abaye seemed to hold that it's not an issue. Couldn't indicate it's not roif akrava. We had a pasuk which connects b'char v'maser to maser sheni, and we have four variations, four applications to this hekesh. One is just as Bechor needs the Beis Hamikdash, likewise Maser Sheni. Just like Maser Sheni is locally grown, Maser Bechor as well has to be locally produced. And just as Bechor needs the Chayma, likewise Maser only within the Chayma. And Acherim learn just like Maser Sheni can be kosher for the next, the following years. Likewise, the Bechor all agree that the time frame for consuming a Bechor is Shnei Yamim V'Layla Echad. All the best. Tzlacha Rabbah.